Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to create an Azure SQL database or SQL server. I hope you are already familiar with SQL servers. So if a SQL server is installed in your machine, so generally we call it as SQL server. But suppose what if you want to host your SQL server on Azure. What Azure does is it is a Microsoft platform. So there what you can do is same like your on-prem SQL server, you can host your Azure SQL as well. And if you want to host your SQL in VM, you can do that as well. The Azure cloud provide you with those kind of facilities as well. So in this video I'll show you how to create SQL server. So this video is going to be very basic and simple. So if you want to more learn about this, you can follow this document where it has all the explanation about Azure SQL, types of Azure SQL. Generally we have three types of Azure SQL, where we have Azure SQL database, then we have Azure SQL managed instance. So everything is clearly mentioned here. Okay, so you can go and read, and use case or scenario you need, you can just create it or enable it. So as I mentioned, SQL Server on Azure VM. So these are the three types of Azure SQL database provided by Azure. So I'm going to create one SQL Server. It's very simple and basic, and I'll go to my Azure portal first. So as you can see, I'm in my Azure portal, and already I have created few database here, but I'm going to create new one to show you how to do it. So if you search for if you log into your Azure portal and just search for SQL, okay, database or SQL server. So note here, the reason why I'm saying is SQL server. See, if you want to create a database, okay, you can directly create it. But on the way, what happens is when you try to fill all the details, you have to create one new SQL server, or you have to use your existing SQL server. So suppose if you are watching this video and you have never created SQL server, so what you'll be aware, generally when you connect to SSMS, your database, sorry, your SQL server, under that SQL server you will be having database. The same way, I'll show you this. I'll try to create one new database and I'll show you what I'm trying to say. Suppose here I selected my subscription. As you can see here, I created one new resource group. In my case, I was having existing one, so I have created here, as you can see. And I'm mentioning one database, like I will mention one sample, or any kind of database which I'm going to put data in it. So I'll create movie DB. So this is my database name. And as you can see here, once I go to create database, it is asking me where this database should be hosted. So in my case, as you can see, already I have one SQL server, so it is automatically populated here. But if you don't have any SQL server hosted, you will be asked to create new one. So I'm saying, so no matter if you create SQL database or directly SQL server, both are same. You can directly create SQL server, or you can directly create SQL database, and in SQL database you have to create SQL server. So manually what I will do, I will go in a proper way. First I will create SQL server. Okay, so what I will do is I'll discard this changes, and as you can see I have already SQL server. So I'll create first one SQL server, and in that SQL server I will host my all the databases. Okay, so as you can see, I have created one new I'll create one new resource group. So you can create your own resource group by your name. I will give a name. So this is my resource group tutorial, and now what I will do is, here we have to give one server name. So server name, it could be of your choice, you can give anything. So in my case I will create one server name, and if it is eligible it will show here. In my case I am eligible with that name, it is showing here. And you have to select the location. So in my case I will go with Australia is specific reason, and this is now done. These are the things which we have to create. And if you scroll down a bit, authentication type, so this is the guys very mandatory thing which I will recommend you to pay attention to it. The reason why I'm saying is, use Microsoft only authentication. So you use only this option if you are sign in to this SQL server with this top account. Microsoft account is there, right? That is the first thing. Second thing, if you have your subscription under some domain account, okay, some domain or organization, then for sure you will be using MFA sign in. As you remember, like if you try to sign in to Gmail, you will get authentication pop-up, and then MFA you will do similar to that. Okay, so if you want to only sign in using your company credential or domain credential, then only you can select this. If you want to do both, then you can select the second one, and if you want to use the SQL Server authentication, you can use the third one as well. Okay, so in my case I will go with both. Okay, or both, I don't want to select my domain account here, so I'll go with SQL Server authentication. Now I'll explain you what is SQL Server authentication. So as I told, once you have this server name, as you can see, this is my server name. Now how to connect to the server? One method is MFA and the second method is your SQL Server authentication. What it does is you can create your own choice of user ID here. Okay, so I'll put admin Vickey. So I've created my own credentials here, username, and I will specify the password here, confirm password and password. So I'll put the password here. As you can see, I've given the password. Now whenever I try to connect to the SQL server, I can connect to the SQL server from anywhere in the world. Okay, using this credential, anybody can connect it using this ID. No, not required of any kind of MFA authentication, domain account or anything. In as I explained earlier, use Microsoft Entra only authentication. Okay, so I will proceed with the next step. First step is done. Okay, I'll go to networking, then here Azure firewall rules, so leave it default, or if you want you are connecting some application to this Azure services, you can click on yes. So I don't want to do that. If you want, you can do it, because I'm going to delete this server once this tutorial video is done. Next I will go to security. In security, everything leave as it is default, no need to touch anything. Click on additional settings, then go to next, and here if you want to enable your Microsoft Defender for SQL, you can enable it. By default I don't require it, so I'll leave it default, and then I will go to tag. Then I will go to, if you want to give any tag, you can give the tag name. So it doesn't matter what tag you give. So once you give the tag name or value, you can overall search it. It's like if you are aware of Twitter and Facebook, you will put some hashtag, right? It is similar to that. So with that tag you can search all over your Azure portal. So I don't require, because I don't have much resource. If you want, you can put it. It is completely optional. And then I'll click on review and create. It will give me all the details, what subscription, what and all I have selected. Then I'll hit create. Once I hit create, the SQL server will get created. Then we'll proceed further with our database creation. So as you can see, the deployment has been started. My SQL server has been accepted, and they are creating a new resource group for me. Deployment is in process. Hardly it will take 2 or 3 minutes. Let's wait until that. As you can see, my deployment is successful now, and click on go to resource, and here as you can see in my portal that my SQL server has been created, and now we are good to go to create our new database. Okay, so once the SQL server is created, what you can do is you can directly go to SSMS and connect it to this SQL database. Okay, but currently we don't have any database. If you connect to SQL server, you can create a database from there as well. SSMS or Azure Data Factory. As you know, the command to create database, create database and database name. But in here I will show you how to create database, okay, as per your need. Okay, so what I will do is one more thing I want to show you here is what I was explaining here. So suppose if I click on this SQL database, you can see SQL database. We have bunch of options in to create database. We have SQL database, SQL Elastic Pool. So if I click on database, as you can see, currently there is no database, because first I have created the server. If you were selecting the SQL database option, under this the database will come. I mean to say that I'll create and show you. Okay, I've created the SQL server. I will create one new database. I'll click on new database and create, and then as you can see the database has started. Now I'll select, I want to put my database in the same resource group. I will give the resource group name as tutorial. I think so already I have created. Yeah, this is the one tutorial I have created. Now I'll give the database name. I will give sample database, and then as you can see, when I click on this, as you can see the new SQL server which I have created, it is popping up here. Now I'll select this, and once I deploy this sample DB, it will come under that SQL database. Okay, so this is a whole scenario. My view to make you understand that no matter if you create a database directly, you have to create the SQL server. Okay, or if you have the SQL server, you have to create the database. Okay, don't get confused, both are simple, both are same. Okay, I was just explaining you how this works. Okay, so now we are good to do. I have selected the server. Now want to use elastic pool, so elastic pool is different kind of computing technologies and all, so we'll not go deep into that. That is we'll discuss in separate video. There is a lot about to do with that. So currently I'll set as new, no. And workload environment, development and production. In my case what I'll do is, mine it is not production, so if you select the production one, it will basically select the highest computing, whichever there is low latency, higher storage capabilities, and all the tier in Azure which are on top level will select automatically. But I'll go with development because I'm not doing any kind of thing. Once I select the development, as you can see, general purpose it has come. Now if you want, by default it is selected series Zen 5 1 vCore 32 storage. Okay, if you want to configure this furthermore, you can click on configure database. Okay, and here you can see that we have three kind of service tiers. Okay, so we have general, hyperscale, business critical, okay, and basic, standard and premier. Now the point here to understand is, we have two different kind of service tiers, which is vCore, okay, base purchasing model, and other one is DTU based purchasing model. So under these two we have three other. So in vCore we have general, hyperscale, business, and DTU we have basic, standard and premium. Now I don't want to confuse you much on this, how this works, but I will put it in simple way. It is very simple. Okay, if you know that your SQL server will be utilized monthly 20 GB, 25 GB, and you have a certain limit for that, then you can easily go with DTU based purchasing model. Okay, so this price generally increases, either you use or don't use, it will take that particular amount. Okay, that is the first thing in DTU. It is very simple, no need to confuse. So I'm trying to explain you in simple words. And when it comes to vCore, vCore has flexibility in it. So as you know, once you buy a laptop, your requirement will be 4 GB RAM or 6 GB 4 GB RAM and 16 GB of hard disk. But in future you think that you want to try to upgrade that, then what you will do is you will manually purchase different hard disks, and then again separately buy the RAM. The same way these vCores work. I mean to say that if there is requirement of load, in future, suppose now you are using 25 GB, tomorrow you want to use 30 GB, 35 GB, so this will give you that flexibility to do that. Okay, and this model will not give you any kind of flexibility to do that. Okay, so this is a simple difference I will say is, this you can control, this you can't this you can't control when it comes to pricing or sharing resources and all, but this you have control to majority of the things. Okay, so what I will do is, if you want to learn more about this, as I told, you can go to this document, okay, Azure SQL, and you can watch this video. It has complete everything about what model, how to select, and what are the feature availabilities which are there. But if you don't want to do that, you can scroll down a bit and you can see here comparison table. You can see what are the, as I mentioned, we have three kind of SQL database: Azure SQL database, Azure SQL managed instance, and SQL server on VM. Okay, so you can check this. And when it comes to cost will be done based on your DTU based purchasing model for SQL database and vCore based purchasing model for SQL database and SQL managed instance. So if you click on the link, you will get an idea what model you need to purchase. Like if I click on DTU based purchasing model, it will give you all the details about this, how this works, what are the pricing tier which you are going to be utilized, and also you can see this graph. So as I was saying, there is no control, it will drastically increase. Like if you select a particular tier, it will be in the tier, either you use or don't use, ultimately the cost will be same. And if you want to know much about this, then you can scroll down and you can see compare service tiers. Once you compare, so we have basic, standard and premium. So if I go to my Azure portal, I was showing here, see here in DTU based we have basic, standard and premier, as you can see. So same way, if you want to learn more about this, so this will give you each availability, the features, SLA, backup, what under backup zones it has supported, and then CPU, IOPS and IO latency. So if you see, depending on the use case, you can select this. And similar to if you want to know more about vCore based, then you can click on this and you can scroll down and you can learn more about this. So if you scroll down, you will get that general purpose, business critical and hyperscale. So all this on So basically, generally, if your organization has a big data or huge data, most of the MNCs companies generally will go for vCore models only, because we have much flexibility in that when compared to DTU model. So I hope you got the idea what document to see. I'll put this document in the description. You can just go and have a look. And I think so you got the idea. So I'll go with just basic tier because I am creating one. And as you can see, once I select the basic tier, maximum size I can have up to 2 GB memory, and DTU is 5. Okay, and if I select for standard, then I can manage the GPU until DTU to 10, and data storage till maximum like this. So this is the flexibility. You can configure this as well. And once you slide this slider left and right, you will get the price, what estimate cost it is going to impact on your subscription. Okay, so I'll go with basic model. Okay, and I will put it to max and click on apply. So if I select this, as you can see, it has been configured. So this is regarding backup. So how you want to do it, backup, storage redundant. So I think so you will be aware if you are watching this video, if you have done Azure fundamentals. So if you want, you can select for local. Geo means global. Global redundant matlab it will be like it will be all over the globe, wherever your backups will be stored in different locations. And zone redundant, so you specify the zone that will get backed up. And local region means whatever region currently you are in. So currently I'll select with local, and I'll click on networking, and then networking, add client IP, add. So by default this will be no, we can't, that is graded out. And add client IP address. So currently I'm logged into this VM. So if I click on S, this ID, client IP will get added this. So please uncheck that, because I'm going to connect this SQL server to SSMS, so it is required. Okay, if public endpoint is not enabled, and if you scroll down, see private endpoint is also there. So you can leave those default, and you can click on security. And then we have same thing again, Microsoft Defender, I don't need that. And everything will, I leave it to default. Enable secure, so you can leave that as default. Now use existing database. I created one database, sample database I was giving name. So if you click on sample, it will create one adventure kind of database. Okay, see like this. Or if you have the backup, then you have to select your account, that is storage account. In my case I don't have one, so I'll go with sample database. And if I click on sample, it will create me one adventure works LT database, as you can see. And my name will get changed to pro or something, so that doesn't matter. Okay, and click on next, everything is done. So as I mentioned about tags, if you want to tag under something, you can tag it. I'll click on review, then everything will be popped up with all the details, and then I'll hit create. Okay, once I hit create, it will go to deployment process, and see the deployment has been initiated. Now we'll wait for some time, and our sample database will be created. So as you can see, the deployment is successful. Now I will hit on go to resource, and you can see my database is here. And now I'm able to see my server name. If I go to my SQL server, this database will be present. So as you can see, at the last it is also associated to my database. And then at the initial stage it is showing my this SQL server. So this is how it works. So it says that under this SQL server your database is hosted, that is called sample DB. So this is how simple and easy to create your first SQL server and sample database, or your own database, easily. So now this thing has been done. Now I'll show you how to connect this server from SSMS or Azure Data Studio. It is very simple. You have to just copy the server name here, as you can see, copy the server name. And if you don't have SSMS installed, so you can just click on this link and just type SSMS. So it is like a kind of tool where you can interact with your databases. So it is provided by Microsoft, and it is worldwide used SSMS tool, and it is very famous. Additionally, you can go with Azure Data Studio, or if you have Visual Code, you can use that as well. So if you don't have the one, you can just click on that link, or I'll provide this link, or you can just search for download SSMS 20.1, the latest one I mean to say. You can just select that, and you can download it and install it. So once you have the server name handy with you, In my case, as you can see, it is already installed, so I'll open this. As you can see, once I open this application, it will give me pop-up saying that connect to your database. So in my case, I'll select database, first option database, and second server name. So the server name which we copied from Azure portal, I'll give that server name. And authentication type, as I mentioned that I have select SQL Server authentication. So that means I created my own user ID and password, so I can give that. And if you are in Entra, Microsoft Entra ID, you can use this MFA if your machine is signed in with your domain credentials, or UPN principles, those kind of user ID I mean to say. So in my case, I'm using SQL Server authentication, and I will put my username. I think so it was admin, and I will trust the server certificate. And if you're not sure what username you have given, you forgot, go to your Azure portal, click on the server name here. Once you click on the server name, you can see here server admin. You can just copy this. In my case, admin it is. I'll just copy this, and I'll go back to my SSMS, and I will give that user here. Once I give that and I hit connect, you can see that I am getting public network access denied error. The reason why I'll say is currently my VM is in internal network, private network, so it is not able to connect it. Okay, so it is asking to create a private endpoint, but for that also I have a solution here. Go back to your Azure portal, okay, and in my case you can see I'm in my Azure portal. Scroll down in your left pane under SQL Server, you can go to networking here, and once you click on networking, so as you can see public network has been disabled. So while creating SQL Server, you will get the option, you will get this option, but I didn't show you because I wanted many of you will face this issue. So I'll do is I'll click on selected networks. Okay, once I click on selected networks and I scroll down, okay, then what I will do is, as you can see, add your client IP. So currently I am logged in, okay, to this VM, and the VM IP is this. So if I click on add your client IP, it will automatically add the IP and I will be able to connect it. But if you want that your SQL server should be connected worldwide, anywhere, no restrictions, nothing, it additionally you should not do this. But if you want to do it, you can generally create one rule saying that add firewall rule, and I will put allowed IPs. Okay, and this time here I will say that take any IP, okay, from 0.0.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. So basically what I'm saying here is allow all the IPs, no matter it is internal, private, or whatever it is, just allow it. Okay, so you should not do that actually, but in case if you want to do it, you can use this. Okay, so if I click on OK, and this firewall rule will get applied here. So we'll wait for some time, and if you see here the firewall rule has been applied, and I'll click on save, and it is updating the server public network access. Once it got saved, as you can see, now if I go back to my SSMS and I click on OK and click on connect again, as you can see I am successfully connected to my SQL server which we have newly created it. So I hope you got the idea on how to do this. And as you can see, my sample database has also been created with sample DB. So if I want to show you some of the data in it, so what I will do is I'll click on new query window, pop me up with new window. So what I'll do is I'll check for some tables. Is there any table present here? I will expand this, as you can see, and if I expand tables, the new AdventureWorks sample DB has been created here, and you will see all the tables in my left pane. So as you know, I have selected the basic tier, so a bit slow the SQL server is, but anyhow I'm going to delete this. Just to make this video, I have created this server. So I'll show you how this table works and all the data in it present. So the database is loaded. Now what I will do is I will run one command, select all data, and if I run this, you will see all my data present in it, which was created by Azure itself with sample database, as you can see. So this is very simple. I hope you got the idea how to create your SQL database, SQL server database in Azure portal. And if you want to create for your Azure VM, it is similar. We have to your SQL will be hosted on some VM. So if you are coming from on-prem, you will be familiar. It is similar to that. Okay, I hope you got the idea on how to create. If you need some additional information, please feel free to ping me, or you can comment down, or you can also visit my website. Also, I have created this whole document on website how to create this SQL server as well. So I hope you got the idea on how to create this. So that's it for today, and if you have any suggestions or any inputs, please feel free to comment down. I will be happy to take it forward or help you if you have any queries. So we'll wrap up this video and we'll see you in the next video with a new topic.